And we struggled to get our average pasture covers down to where we would like going into the winter. So you can see there, and these graphs are, or the average pasture cover one is in your handout. So we were sitting at sort of 2,300 average pasture cover going into June. We did keep 100 cows on the milking platform for an extra, they were dried off, just to try and take the tops out of some of the paddocks so that we didn't have really high covers, really high covers coming into spring. That did help a little bit, but then we also had such strong growth through June, July and August. So you can see our average pasture covers as we came into calving were around that 2,600 to 700. And we are finally getting them down now, but it has meant that we haven't had to feed a lot of supplements through the spring. But when Ryan gets up and puts up some of our data, that has had some implications in terms of how our cows have come through. And you can see there just with the feed budget that it's taken us a while to get it down, and we put significantly less supplement into all of the farmlets than what we had planned. Despite those high pasture masses, we have had pretty good quality pasture through the first round. So we were going into covers sort of 3.5 to 3.7 in the first round. Again, this is all in the handout. So what we've got at the hub is we've got a selection of paddocks that we take pasture samples of every time we graze them. So we're just in our second round now, so we're starting to get some of those results coming through. The other thing is that last year we started putting plantain into our new grass mixes. So we've now got a combination of paddocks that don't have plantain and those that do have plantain. So the team makes sure that our monitor paddocks have both with and without plantain. So we'll track these through the season and see whether we're starting to see any differences in the quality. So probably just as we got into the second round, there's a suggestion that the dry matter percentages in those plantain pastures are a bit lower than our ones that don't have plantain, which is not unsurprising given that all of the research that's been done has shown that plantain is a low dry matter feed. So yeah, pretty confident or pretty happy with the pasture quality results. And what it has meant is that last year, towards the end of the first round, we got into quite low food protein pastures, and we had very low milk ureas for a couple of weeks. Our milk ureas had sat more in that sort of 15 to 25, pretty much right through the spring. And this year, last year, we got down below 15 for some period. So yeah, pretty happy with where we're at with feed quality. In the second round, we have, with the wet and the floods, we have had some challenges having residuals in some paddocks, so we've earmarked those ones to tidy up with the mower in the second round. And this is, I guess, a little bit of contexting leading into what Ryan's going to talk about, but just wanted to talk through what our winter and spring management has been. So in terms of our winter farm systems, we had 2 farmlets that were wintered on baleage and 2 farmlets that were wintered on fodder beet. Our baleage farmlets were at 80 bales per hectare. We had dropped in the previous winter, we were at 100 bales per hectare, and we felt that that was just too tight, and we were getting the paddocks didn't look that different to a crop paddock when we got to the end, so we've dropped our baleage density. The other thing that we did differently this year is our fodder beet cows were taken off fodder beet 4 weeks before their expected calving date, and they went onto a baleage diet for 2 weeks and then into the springer mob. And that was based, I guess, on the findings from our first 4-year farm system study where we were concerned about the protein intake from those fodder beet animals in those last, particularly those last 4 weeks before they calve. So we're looking at optimising that system and we'll see how that goes. We had our best year ever in terms of crop yield, thanks to JJ and the team. So we did have one paddock of direct drilled fodder beet. We continued just to play around with that a little bit. It averaged 21.7 tonne, which was better than we had done in the previous years, but still significantly behind our conventional fodder beet. And so those three paddocks averaged 28 tonne last year. So we've given JJ the challenge for this year to deliver similar tonnages. In terms of our springers, so they were drafted 2 weeks before expected calving date. We have run 3 springer mobs. So one of the springer mobs is mixed age cows that were wintered on fodder beet, and so they get magnesium oxide and DCP supplementation through the year. We have mixed age cows that were wintered on baleage, and then our R2s are wintered separately, but with mixed age cows that have got non-replacement calves in them. So we've done put some beef semen in early on, and then short gestation as well, so that we don't have any confusion about calves that are collected for replacements. We put them in separate springer mobs. And our springer diet is a 50-50 pasture baleage and around that 11 kilograms dry matter intake, and around that 25 to 30 square metres per cow. Right, I'm going to hand over to Andrea now, because she loves talking about body conditions for milk production.
That's right, Dawn, I do. I put a little bit of this data in our newsletter actually that we released last week, so we have a copy. But one thing that I am very proud about at the Southern Dairy Hub is that we monitor our body condition score data really closely. The dairy techs do a body condition score every 2 weeks, and we've also got a body condition score camera, so we can actually correlate the two as well to see how it tracks. And I remember when I shared my data with Ryan, he said to me, well, that can't be right. So from the graphs up here, you can see the graph on the left talks about the mixed age cows. And at the clean started calving around that early August, you can see that the cows on average are at least 5 or above, so they're quite high. And I know we've got a few comments on Facebook in regard to the condition of the mixed age cows. Interestingly, you can see the low input baleage animals with a lower body condition score. And when I move on to the milk production data on the next slide, we're seeing that those animals are producing a little bit lighter than the other mobs. Isn't that right, Dawn? On the right-hand side, we've got the 2 and 3-year-olds, and in my time at LIC, I saw this as a big opportunity in the southern region, monitoring the 2 and 3-year-old body condition score and the opportunities leading into mating, and so we separate this data out. And what's really cool in here is that we can see that the heifers, or the 2 and 3-year-olds, calved at 5.4, so pretty close to target. And our aim now into mating is just to make sure that we manage that body condition score loss. So we saw that those animals that lost 0.5 had a higher 6-week calf rate by about 10%. So we're really trying to manage that drop from calving through to mating. And we have some really proactive measures in doing that. We separate them out and put them onto once a day for 2 weeks to see their condition lift before they go back to twice a day. Next slide, please. Just quickly, the next one is our milk production, and we've decided to put this at entity level, so all herds together. This is the start of a new trial, and the herds have all been re-randomised, so it's probably only fair to compare them at entity level. And we can see for the 2022-23 season, we're tracking slightly behind, and that represents 4%. Interesting, only 2 or 3 weeks ago we were sitting about 5,000 milk solids behind, and now we're about 2.5. So just on about the week of the flood, the cows were doing about 2.2 through the flood period, and Dawn's talked about the challenges that we experienced there in regard to growing condition and pasture quality. That dropped to just under 2, but now we're tracking back up to 2.1 to 2.15. So the cows are picking up, and we're hopefully away in there.